Hi, and thanks for tuning in to our live radio show. Moments of Clarity with Tiffany will begin in just a few moments. Please stay tuned. Kindly take this opportunity to share this show on your platforms because change can only come when we stand together as one, especially when it comes to ending the stigma on mental health.
You are not alone, and help is out there.
Kids have mental health issues, and we also need to learn coping skills.
Let's get started and let the show begin. See you soon.
Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, your soul will align. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Moments of Clarity. My name is Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor and your host. And while we're waiting for Tan Talk to log in, I want to say hi to my guest, Brian Cuban. I've been looking forward to interviewing you all week, and we have a lot to talk about. He's an award-winning author of so many different things. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tiffany. It's great to be on here with you.
I'm so honored. And you've done a lot of great things and overcome a lot. We're going to be talking about addiction and recovery. And lucky, I saw on one of the social media things that you're celebrating 14 years and 6 months, a couple of days
Yes,
ago.
thank you. In October, I'll have 14 years and 6 months of sobriety, rolling around the bend to 15 years.
You know, you're really serious about your recovery when you know exactly how long it's been. I've always said that with clients when you're like, how long have you been sober? Like, I don't know. Like, no, when you know, you know.
Yeah, in my experience, Tiffany, a lot of people I know can count their sobriety down to the day and then the hour. So
Yes.
People do keep track, right? Because it's important. It's important, and it's a good reminder of where we are, where we've been, and where we're going.
Yeah, because it's a hard thing to battle. So it's kind of like you remember the day you had your first child or something, you know, like it's a really hard thing to overcome.
Sure. I remember my moment of clarity. Like it was yesterday, believe me, that moment when I finally took that first very scary step into recovery.
Yeah. That's a big decision to make and a big commitment. And So we're still waiting for the radio show to batch in, and usually it's around 12:05 or 12:06. So within a minute, we'll start the live show. Let's give some love out to some people out here. Hi, off of LinkedIn, FCBLD. Hey, LD. Says hi, Tiffany. Thanks for tuning in. And we got Gabby Green on Facebook. So we got different platforms. Hi, Gabby. You actually showed. Good for you. Gabby's come a long way too, and I'm very proud of her. Sean Klinkhammer, you're an inspiration, sir. That's to you, Brian.
Oh, thank you, Sean.
And that's off of YouTube Live. I see Ed, and we're going to lock him in for a second and hopefully unmute so I get my cue and I don't miss the radio, and we'll start the show.
So everyone, I do have 2 cats, and it is within the distinct realm of possibility that you'll see one of them cross behind me.
I was looking at your Instagram, and I got to tell you, if I ever died and could reincarnate as an animal, I would come back as one of your cats.
Well, you know what's funny, Tiffany?
And well taken care of, but we're going to get interrupted any second. Just telling
Okay, we got it. There's a funny story there.
Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, TheLiberationStation.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network. Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. This is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And we have an exciting show today, but we're going to be talking about all sorts of things: addiction, recovery, and from a wonderful author who we have what's it called? A little bit of a challenge, like where listeners can get something. We'll talk about it later, but we're giving out gifts today, right? Anyway, hi Ed. Before I introduce my guest, I always say hi to Ed behind the screen.
Hey, happy Thursday, everybody.
Hi, Ed.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great.
So Ed, I'm going to kind of introduce my guest here. He is in recovery, but a wonderful author, keynote speaker. I've heard him speak. He's really funny and transparent, I would say. He's the younger brother of Dallas Mavericks owner and entrepreneur, star from Shark Tank, Mark Cuban, and Dallas-based attorney, author, person in long-term recovery from addiction, alcohol, drug addiction, eating disorders, things like that. Also, Penn State graduate and University of Pittsburgh School of Law. He's got a few books that we're going to promote today: The Addicted Lawyer and Tales of the Bars, Booze, Blow, and Redemption is a wonderful, unflinching book that we're going to show a little bit about. And he's got a bunch, and he's got one coming up that we can pre-order as well. So this is the one he's got written. That's
my memoir.
His memoir. And welcome to Moments of Clarity, Brian Cuban.
Thank you for having me, Tiffany. It's such an honor to be here with you.
Such an honor to have you. And it's serendipitous. I found him here. He found me. I don't know. We just kind of found each other. And I kind of, he just messaged me. I needed a guest too. And anyway, I was going to disappear virtually, but when you guys call in 866-826-1340, please say hi to Ed when you do. But we were kind of serendipitously, I found your message, said, hey, I'm looking for a guest this week. And you're like, I'm ready to do it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark.
Well, I am a person in long-term recovery from alcohol. I was a quote-unquote alcoholic, cocaine addiction, and bulimia and exercise bulimia. So yes, guys do get eating disorders, and I've struggled with eating disorders and body image for a lot of my life. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. I am the middle of 3 boys. People know my older brother, Mark, Shark Tank and the Mavs. I have a younger brother, Jeff, but I've lived in Dallas since 1986. I had a lot of struggles here in Dallas. The addiction, cocaine and alcohol, 2 trips to a psychiatric facility, the first after near suicide attempt in 2005, 3 failed marriages, one more, I get a free set of steak knives. And
Is that how it works? We get steak knives?
we get steak knives for the 4th. That's right. Well, I do have my 4th. I'm in a very happy marriage now. So,
Hopefully
but they all failed because of drugs and alcohol. And I began my recovery, my moment of clarity in April of 2007, and now turning the corner on 14 and a half years of long-term recovery.
Wow, that's the best part. And you got already 2 bells. Like I told you they come up to chat. We've got people watching in from the UK, Seattle, on all different levels, and LinkedIn, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, I guess it's called, whatever. Hi, Tiffany. It's Abby Gadia. Hi, Tiffany. So happy to see Brian here. So awesome. Looking forward to the show. Me too. And mental health warrior, MH warrior from the UK, Adam here. Hi, Adam. Hi, Abby, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, Colleen off of LinkedIn. Anyway, so lots of love here. Let's get to your story, though. You found your moment of clarity because what started it all for you? Where
to understand really how it came to that, we have to go all. We'll take the hot tub time machine back to
let's go for it.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a boomer growing up in Pittsburgh, PA, the middle of 3 boys. And my brother Mark, for those who know him, as you might expect, was very outgoing. He was always selling something, selling this door to door, selling that door to door, even as a teen. I remember our local newspaper went on strike in the 70s, and he and his buddies, barely old enough to drive, drove from Pittsburgh to Cleveland, about 200 miles away, bought their newspapers, brought them back to Pittsburgh, and sold them on a street corner for twice what they paid. So you kind of knew what he was going to be. My younger brother, Jeff, was outgoing, nationally ranked wrestler, beer parties, a jock, dates, prom, all of the things that I associated with love and acceptance. And Tiffany, I was classic middle child syndrome. I was shy. I was withdrawn. And I internalized everything negative said to me and wore it as who I was, like a skin-tight suit. And unfortunately, Tiffany, I had a very difficult relationship with my mom. And I'm going to tell your listeners a little bit about this, but I want to make it clear to everyone watching and listening that I do not blame my mother for anything I went through. Parents do not cause eating disorders. Parents do not cause addiction. There is a difference between cause and correlation. There was a lot of fat shaming in my house. I used to come home from school and I would go to the kitchen and I would pull out a can of Chef Boyardee ravioli. Do they still have that? I used to love Chef Boyardee ravioli.
Of course they
One
do.
of the blue old school can openers. And I'd eat it with a spoon. And my mom would come home and see me doing this. And she would say, Brian, if you keep eating that way, you're going to be a fat pig. Now, these were the things my mother's mother said to her. These were the things my great-grandmother probably said to my grandmother. Fat shaming and fat talk is often handed down generationally in families. I come from an Eastern European family, a very dysfunctional relationship around food from the old country, right? And Jewish immigrants. And my mother had a very mentally and verbally abusive with her bipolar mother. So I don't blame my mother for these things. She was struggling with her own mental health issues, but not understanding that, I grew kind of depressed and I began to eat more Chef Boyardee ravioli and more Chef Boyardee ravioli, and I became a bigger Brian. And a bigger Brian.
You're really plugging Chef Boyardee.
But I love Chef Boyardee. I don't even know if it still exists, but I ate a lot of it back then.
It does exist, but I don't know. I mean, you said a few things that kind of triggered me. You said middle child syndrome. So a lot of eating disorders and things like that stem from a need for control. And if you felt like out of control or
not at that point, but that would come. That's a great point, and it would absolutely come. And so as I got heavier, as often happens when kids change for what other kids perceive in the negative, right, at school, the bullying started, the fat taunting. And Tiffany, this all accumulated. This all came to a head, a crisis point on what I call the day of the gold pants. My brother Mark gave me a pair of shiny gold bell-bottom disco pants. This was the disco era, the mid-'70s, Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, hey, right?
Yeah.
And
Staying
these
alive.
pants, Mark taught disco back then. These pants fit him fine.
Mark taught disco
He
back.
did. He did.
Sorry, but
Yeah. He
one
did.
of those things you don't see on the media.
No, one of the little secrets there. And the pants fit him okay, but I had to jump up and down, spray the water bottle. My butt looked like 15 cats back there trying to get out. But I didn't care because I love my brother. He loved me. And I wore those pants to school every day. Had to stand them up in the corner at night. And the kids made fun. And I'm walking home from school one day with these kids about a mile from my house, wearing my shiny gold bell-bottom disco pants. They start making fun of me. And then they start pulling at them, Tiffany. And the next thing I know, they have physically assaulted me. They have taken the pants off me, ripped them into shreds down to my Fruit of the Loom tighty whities, my Ked shoes, and my tube socks. This was the 70s, remember? And threw them out in the street. They went on high-fiving like they'd done the funniest thing ever, this group of kids. And Tiffany, in my mind, these were the popular kids. This is why I hung around them. The prom queens, the prom kings. This was before the internet, right? My images of popularity were the kids I saw every day. And so they went on down the sidewalk. I went out in the street, gathered up the shreds, covered up my tighty whities, waddled home. People gawked. No one stopped. I got to my house and I walked down into our basement. In Texas, people don't understand what basements are. In Pittsburgh, we had basements. You go downstairs. And it was these old wooden stairs. And I'm walking down and they're creaking. And I remember they're creaking. And with every creak of that old wood, I felt like it was a broadcast to the world of my shame and my pain, that I didn't know how to stand up to bullies. And I got downstairs and I put the shreds in the bottom of this wastebasket, covered it up with all the garbage, hoping that that would be the end of my shame and my pain. But that's not how trauma works, is it, Tiffany? No. Trauma remembers, trauma threads, the body keeps the score, as we hear the phrase. And it was right around then that I remember seeing my reflection in the mirror and seeing nothing but a fat pig who would never be loved by his mother, who loved him dearly, but was struggling with her own mental health issues, would never have a girlfriend, who would never have his first kiss, who would never go on a date. And seeing somebody who was only worthy of rejection and hatred.
The shame.
That is when I really started to remember seeing myself differently.
So those bullies really got to you, and if you remember them now, like how you like me now.
You know what's funny? I get asked that, and I was actually I may still be friends with a couple of those kids, and I get asked, Facebook friends, and I get asked all the time, don't you want to tell them what they did to you? Don't you want to make them pay? No, these aren't 15-year-old boys. These are 60-year-old men like me, with grandkids, with children and grandchildren. I don't want to redredge that. I want them to have happy lives, happy children, and hopefully not repeating cycles and teaching their kids differently about bullying than they were taught by their parents or not taught.
Have you ever seen that movie Billy Madison with Adam Sandler?
I have not.
And Adam Sandler learns that his bullying might have not been so nice, so he called and said sorry to the person that he was bullying, and he's like, "Yeah, no, man, thanks, no, I appreciate it." And then he turns around and it's like the kill list, and he crosses off Billy Madison's name. So,
I harbor. Do I remember it? Of course. Do I harbor ill will? No.
But the thing is that bad things happen to us, but it kind of transforms us into who we are today. So you wouldn't be speaking right now, inspiring
absolutely,
people and everything like that, if all of these things hadn't transpired throughout your life. You didn't victimize. You've survived and forgiven them.
And it took a while to get there. It took a while. I mean, the resilience building is a process. And at that point, it was just the beginning of the downslope. And so I went on to Penn State University. As you might imagine, I was very happy to get away from the bullies in Pittsburgh. And
it's a good thing you didn't have those gold bell bottoms, though, too.
Yes, they were gone. I love those bell bottoms. But my father drove me up to Penn State, Tiffany, and I remembered we were unpacking. I was living in a dorm, and it was a beautiful fall day. And I'm looking out the window, and I make eye contact in the parking lot with this curly brown-haired girl talking to her friends. And she looks at me, and I'm someone who had never even been on a date, never kissed a girl, never held a girl's hand. And I started sweating. And in the space of about 10 seconds, I imagined my entire life with this beautiful brown-haired curly girl. We're going to marry, we're going to date, we're going to get married, and we're going to have 2 1/2 children. And it wasn't a smile, it was a smirk. She looked at me, looked over at her friends, put her hands over her mouth, and yelled, "Ugly, ugly." Now, I am not the first young man to have nasty things said to him. Another person may have yelled ugly back. Another person may have used a nasty sign, right? Flipped off or something. But I'm someone, but we all respond based on our social, genetic upbringing, or our environment. And I was someone who already felt ugly. And I don't blame that girl either for anything I went through. And I remember
and
with that.
She's ugly on the inside, especially.
Well, she's a young girl, right? She's a teenager, and teenagers say nasty things. This is my freshman year at Penn State. It happens now. It happened then. It happens now. Although now it happens in a much more insidious way over the internet and with social media. But I remember thinking to myself, we talked about control. And I remember thinking to myself at that moment that my entire life was out of control. I would never be loved by anyone. I was always going to be alone. How can I get control over my life? What did I have control over as a 17 going on 18-year-old at Penn State University who felt completely alone? Food.
I knew there was control coming from somewhere.
Yes. But I associated eating more with getting bullied. So I decided that my path to love and acceptance by that curly brown-haired girl, by the bullies in high school and junior high, by my mother, was to lose weight. And I began to restrict my food intake and restrict. And I quickly transitioned into binging and purging. And before I knew it, in 1979, moving on into 1980, I was a male with an eating disorder before anyone was talking about it publicly, before the wonderful singer Karen Carpenter passed away from complications related to anorexia and brought eating disorders into the pre-digital national spotlight. I was binging and purging. And every time I did,
courage for you to admit it. I'll let you finish your sentence, but it's time for our first break, so I want to keep going to another section of your life.
Every time I binged and purged, this feeling of peace came over me. That the next day everything was going to be okay, that I would be accepted. But that only lasted a few seconds, a few moments, and then the shame swept in. A shame of engaging in an act that I didn't have a name for, didn't understand, but felt inherently, guys don't stick their fingers down their throat. I don't know what it is, but we don't do that, right? And so it was this vicious cycle of getting that feeling of peace. The shame sweeps in. I had to have it again and again. The life of a bulimic.
It's a lot, and we can get more into that. But with eating disorders, it's a need for control. And then there's anorexia, where people restrict. And anorexia usually turns into bulimia when people start to eat and feel guilty about that and then want to not take responsibility for what they ate. So it's also control.
And as we know, eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any psychological illness. More people die from eating disorders than any other psychological illness in the DSM-5.
It's up there, yeah. There's a few, but it's really hard to come back from. And I tell a lot of people as well, like, I had anorexia when I was younger too. And I'm not going to get into my story, but I can relate. And we'll talk after the show as well, or after the break. But it's time for our first break. And thank you so much for being so transparent, Brian. We will be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Friday, September 17th at 6:30 p.m., you're invited to join a casually elegant event to support veterans and survivors of human trafficking, PTSD, and other trauma disorders. Help raise funds for a very special cause while also enjoying a delectable 3-course meal at Current's Restaurant in beautiful Tarpon Springs. There will be entertainment and plenty of opportunities to bring home memorable prizes through auctions, customized gift baskets, fine art, vacation deals, and raffles. Your ticket will help survivors afford the support they need to continue their recovery. For those who can't attend a restaurant in person, there will be virtual options available to participate in as well. For more information and to purchase your tickets, visit diddiscoveringhope.org. That's diddiscoveringhope.org.
Hello, my name is Lucy Lopes, and I'm a real estate agent that supports ending the stigma on mental health with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I am also passionate about helping you buy or sell your home. With times being so difficult, I'm here to help. Contact me at lucylopes.com. That's LUCYLOPES.com. Let me assist you through this pandemic and know that you are not alone.
If you're a show host, gamer, live streamer, podcast host, or radio show host that would like your message to get out and reach up to 30 platforms, then there's an affordable way to do that. It's called Restream. Restream makes it easy to broadcast professional live videos from your browser to multiple social platforms at once. Start your live show with guests, brand it with logos and overlays, and create an interactive experience for your audience. Learn more at Restream.io and mention Moments of Clarity for special offers.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
Are you looking for a great book? If you like to root for the underdog, Joe Potosi's book is a book for you. A real American Odyssey that will grab your attention with its fast-moving narrative. You won't be able to put this masterpiece down. When the Dust Settled by Joe Potosi. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Zulin Press.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Warner.
Hello, and thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest. And if you've missed the first segment, you've missed a powerful beginning of how bullying can really damage our psyche and things like that. We've really got to make sure that we're teaching our kids different tactics nowadays anyway. But not only that, how it can really lead to mental health issues, and mental health issues are real. And my guest today is not only talking about that, but is a wonderful author, has a book coming out to pre-order, one about his life, had 14 years of recovery, a lawyer from Penn State University, the younger brother of Mark Cuban from Shark Tank or the Dallas Mavericks, or I don't know, all over. Anyway, welcome back to Moments of Clarity, Brian Cuban.
Good to be back.
So before we were leaving, we were talking about eating disorders. It's a hard habit to kick. And I want to welcome callers to call in 866-826-1340. You're welcome to join the conversation live, 866-826-1340. And when you call in, say hi to Ed when you do. We're welcoming questions and join the discussion, 866-826-1340. And so before we left off, we were talking about eating disorder, but I know that it led to other things. And you said alcohol and cocaine. So with eating disorders comes stimulants a lot of times anyway. Just kind of curious if that's why you chose cocaine to help curb appetite or something like that.
No, I think I gravitated to cocaine because I hated myself. And cocaine, at least at the beginning, gave me the feeling of loving myself for the first time in my life. I can tell you that's exactly what it was. When I did cocaine, when I did and I was already an alcoholic at this point, a severe alcoholic. When I did my first line of cocaine in a bathroom in Dallas, Texas in 1987, when I experienced that high, it was the first time I loved myself ever. And I was in my 40s, the first time ever. even artificially, albeit, right?
Yeah,
That's what it was about. I tried to actually love myself.
It makes people feel a sense of euphoria. Joe Potosi from Facebook, he says, I agree 100%. Bullying can have a very long and destructive consequences. And that's true, but that's not the only thing. I mean, like, you've been through quite a lot before that.
Yeah, and
process.
I mean, I was an alcoholic at Penn State. I took my alcoholism into Pitt Law. I made it through, but I wasn't a very good student. As I said, I moved to Dallas, and people ask why I moved to Dallas, and it was because both of my brothers had already moved there, Mark and Jeff, and I felt like I could finally be with two people who I knew loved me, right? Mm-hmm. And I moved in with Mark, and I took a Greyhound bus to Dallas with $100 to my name, and I moved in with Mark. And it was kind of Katie bar the door, Tiffany, because they're young and they're out, going out and dating. And so I fit right in, and my drinking escalated. Then I discovered the cocaine. And everyone, if you want to kind of get a microcosm of what my life was like addicted to cocaine, we should talk about the Dallas Mavericks tickets.
Oh, yeah. I heard one of the speeches that you gave. There's a picture with you guys all.
Yeah, that was the 2011 when we won the championship.
And wasn't this one picture where you were like out partying with your brother?
Yeah, that was in Mexico where Mark and I out party, and I don't look like that anymore.
We all, go through aging. I don't know. You tell us you.
Yeah.
So
but in 2007,
radio, I have some pictures if you want to still come back and watch on replay. It's always on mocwithtiffany.com, and you can find all the links to hear all these podcasts again and a replay. So go on, Brian.
Well, in 2007, it's when the Dallas Mavs went to their championship for the first time. We ended up losing. It was a very exciting time. And again, I was really into cocaine addiction at that time and drinking, and plus my eating disorders. I was going out every night, cocaining through the night, Xanaxing through the day, which makes it very hard to be an effective practicing lawyer, as you might imagine. And I got some tickets from Mark, and I also had the opportunity to get a couple tickets for friends for game one of the 2007 or the 2006 finals into 2007. And I got the tickets. I called them up, and I got the tickets. And do you think I gave them to my friends? Nah. You're probably thinking I sold them on eBay for some astronomical amount, right? Thinking like a lawyer. I didn't do that either, because that would be disrespectful to Mark, to this team. Tiffany, I took those 2 tickets and I traded them to my cocaine dealer for $1,000 in cocaine.
Wow.
Celebrating my 20th year as a practicing lawyer, right? Yeah. My dealer, selling them on eBay was disrespectful, but trading them to my cocaine dealer was perfectly acceptable, how the mind works in addiction. My dealer shows up at my house. I was high class. He delivered. And he hands me this giant Ziploc baggie of cocaine. I hand him the 2 tickets. I go running upstairs to my home office, dump it all out on my wood desk, looking at this giant mountain of cocaine like I'm Scarface. And of course, I have to do some. I roll up a dollar bill. And cocaine users are a funny, ironic bunch. Especially in the pandemic, right? You'll sanitize your hands and you'll wash up, but we'll stick a dollar bill up our nose if it's been used by God knows who and God knows where. But cocaine had really long stopped giving me that feeling of self-love and confidence. Now it was just chasing the high, chasing the high. And there was also the paranoia. Do I hear the cops outside? Woo, woo, woo. I go peeking out my window. There's no one out there, but I'm all paranoid, so I hide the cocaine. I drive to a Home Depot where I buy electrical faceplate outlets, a drill, and a saw. I drive back to my house. I go upstairs to the drywall in the closets, to the white drywall with the drill and the saw, bzz, 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 and I drill and cut these fake electrical outlets. And I take the cocaine and I put it in smaller Ziploc baggies, and I close it up behind all these fake electrical outlets all over my house. Bzz, 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 thinking I'm the smartest lawyer ever. Like the DEA, the cops, and the drug dogs have never thought of that before.
Or smelled it.
And I do some more cocaine, and again, just pain and shame. And it was never an epiphany that I might have a problem. It was maybe I need to change dealers, or maybe I need to switch out the Grey Goose for the Jack Daniels to find that right mixture. And then paranoia again. I go back to the electrical outlets. Bzz, 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 bzz. I take the cocaine back out, put it in the giant Ziploc baggie, go to the toilet and flush it down the toilet. Now it's $900 in cocaine. Tiffany, the next morning comes. I wake up. Did I flush all my cocaine down the toilet last night? Who does that? There's another game tonight. I'm an idiot. I call up my brother. I get 2 more tickets for that game. I call my drug dealer again. He shows up at my house. He said, dude, you did all that last night? I don't want to tell him I flushed it down the toilet like a moron. I said, yes, I did it all. Give me more. Okay, here you go. Rinse, wash, repeat. Back up to my home office. Dump it out on the desk. Line it out. Again, just the pain and the shame, chasing the high that was never going to come again, and the paranoia. I hide the cocaine behind the electrical outlets again. An hour later, take it back out again, go to that same toilet in my master bathroom, drop to my knees like I'd done so many times, praying or hoping for someone or something to take away the pain and shame of my mental health struggles and my addiction, and flushed it down the toilet again for the second night in a row. They say when Dallas flushes, it runs downhill to Houston. So I think some people in Houston had a little hop in their step that night.
You polluted water.
Yeah, the quote unquote insanity of addiction, doing the same thing over and over the same way and expecting a different result. But it's not insane, right? It's a biological brain-based process with environmental factors, genetic factors that affects so many of us, our families, our loved ones, our children, our friends. And I was no exception.
Right. Well, you obviously, I mean, not obviously, but sounds to me like in the back of your head, you didn't want to be that person and you kept flushing it down, even though $900 worth of cocaine, but
yeah,
you were trying to help yourself, but couldn't stop.
I was. And that's addiction, right? What's the definition of addiction? Obsessive compulsive drug seeking behavior in the face of known consequences.
Mm-hmm. So what did your
brother
brother do?
You're absolutely right.
If you keep asking for these tickets, did he say, where were you?
Nah, because he was sitting on the floor at that point, and I was sitting somewhere else. But it was brutal. It was brutal, and it all kind of came to a head in the summer of 2005. The first head. It all kind of came to a head in the summer of 2005, Tiffany. And this was actually before the tickets. I decided to end my life by suicide, and I was saved by a friend who emailed my brothers. He had gotten a disturbing email from me, and my brothers came over to my house, and I had a .45 automatic nightstand on my nightstand. There was cocaine everywhere. There was Xanax everywhere. And my brothers came to my house. They took the weapon, cleaned up this mess, and took me in my first of 2 trips kicking and screaming to a psychiatric hospital. So even before the tickets, I had been struggling hard and been suicidal, even before that ticket incident.
What did the email say, do you think?
That I was going to end my life, and something to that effect.
You chose that friend?
Yes. And my first book, Shattered Image, is dedicated to him for saving my life.
That's awesome. And he did. He came through. Thank goodness he checks his emails.
Yes, in 2005, yes. So, but that didn't, as you saw from the ticket episode, that didn't push me into recovery, right? This was what happened. Was I remember I was down in the hospital, and my brothers were trying to have me committed for an intake, for a detox, and I'm a lawyer. I knew what to say, so they couldn't make that happen. I'm not a danger to myself. I'm not a danger to others. So we did what I call the Cuban rehab. They said, we're going to take your car keys, stay at home for 2 weeks, and everything will be okay. But that's not how addiction works. And again, my thought was, no problem, my drug dealer delivers. But I was right back out, then the ticket incident, and then it just got worse up through 2007. I lost my career as a lawyer. I failed the bar exam 2.5 times as a result of drugs and alcohol. It got to the point where my brother Mark, and this is privilege. Yes, I have privilege. I would be disingenuous not to acknowledge the privilege that I have that so many people do not have, right? Whether it's skin color or financial or whatever it is, I have that privilege.
Which privilege is that?
I have a billionaire brother who was willing to do anything for me and made sure I wasn't living under a bridge when I no longer was able to support myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it was that got me here today, right?
Well, you still have more of a journey because you said 1 of 2 kicking and screaming, and institutional.
Yeah. And so I was right back out partying and just going and going, blowing and going. And I met a woman it was in 2006 during one of my week-long birthday bashes. And Tiffany, my birthday bashes started when the cocaine started and ended when the cocaine ended, right? When there was no more cocaine. And sometimes they went on for 3 or 4 days. And I was out at one of my bashes at this club in Dallas. And a woman came in. Her name was Amanda. Doesn't do drugs, very light drinker. She'd come in with some friends after a football game. And we started talking. And I guess I was coked up and drunk. But I guess somehow I was able to convince her that I was this respectable lawyer, which I wasn't. I deserved to be disbarred, frankly. And we began dating. And she moved in with me. And we were living together for about 2 weeks. And it was Easter weekend 2007. She went away for the weekend, and then I went out, and the next thing I know, it was 2 days later. She's back. It's mid-Sunday afternoon. I don't know where the 2 days went. I had a blackout. I'd had an alcohol and drug-induced blackout. She's looking down at me, probably wondering if she walked in the right house. She's also a lawyer. I'm looking up at her, trying to get my senses and explain this law and order style orgy of evidence that I might not be the person I represented myself to be, because there's cocaine everywhere. And she didn't know about any of this. All I could think of was a metaphorical running home to mama. I said, take me back to Green Oaks Hospital, which was the psychiatric hospital I'd been to in 2005. She looks at me. You've been to a psychiatric hospital? Yeah, there are things you don't know about me. We'll talk about that later. And I'm trying to think, I'm trying to buy time to think of a better lie, right, to explain what's going on. So we get down there, and we're standing in the parking lot, Tiffany, waiting for intake, and she's crying, and I'm thinking she's going to leave, and she didn't leave. She stood by me. We dated for over a decade while I repaired the broken trust and found recovery, and we've now been married for going on 5 years. So not all relationships will survive that, but ours was able to. One, because she's a saint, and two, because I did the recovery work that I needed to do.
Yeah, and you don't want a set of free steak knives.
Yes, and I didn't want a set of free steak knives. I have a wonderful wife instead of the free steak knives. But
thing, like sometimes it's a toaster oven, but you know.
That's right. That's
right. Sometimes it's time for our second break, and what a powerful story! You're getting all these quotes like from Facebook and LinkedIn and everybody saying what a powerful story, and I agree. What a wonderful thing to be transparent in order to inspire and help others, and you do it not only with grace, but with a sense of humor. So we could put light on dark topics as well. But as well as, knowing that family can actually be there for us and to reach out for help. It's a good thing. And mental health matters.
Yeah. And it's a privilege to have family. I'm very privileged, and we'll talk about that more because a lot of people don't.
And I want to get to also your books because we after this break, we kind of have the final stretch. So I want to get to The Ambulance Chaser and the Addicted Lawyer as well. And so you guys stay tuned. We'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment, but please stay tuned.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Do you ask yourself any of these questions? Will I ever be able to get out of debt? Will I ever be able to retire? How am I going to pay for my children's education? How do I begin saving for my family's future? And if something were to happen to me, will my family be taken care of? Have you struggled in finding the answers? Forever Forward Financial can help answer these and many more questions about your financial future by teaching you how money works, by providing you the financial education you seek, by assisting you in making the right retirement or educational decisions that are best for you and your family, and by helping you take the necessary steps in establishing and meeting your financial goals. Please call us today and schedule your complimentary, no-obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. The number, 727-422-7761.
Are you having trouble staying sober after you've completed rehab and need a positive environment to help you continue sobriety? At Real Recovery Sober Living, we strive in both community and environment for men in early sobriety to help support you while in early recovery. For only $750 a month, we cover everything you need when it comes to a safe, clean, and accountable environment necessary for success in sobriety. Check out our website at realrecoveryfl.com. That's realrecoveryfl.com. We have 6 locations in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Brandon, North Tampa, and Bradenton, because everyone deserves a quality, sober living.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Hi, and thanks for tuning in. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor and your host. And today, my guest has been a long journey of addiction, recovery, and authoring books and so many things. And welcome back to Moments of Clarity, Brian Cuban.
Hey.
And so, Brian, when we left off everything, we were talking about all this recovery and everything, but how did you recover from all this?
Well, I thought when I found my moment of clarity was that I needed to find people to help, and I found those people in the rooms of 12-step. And for those who do not know, the most well-known, and I want to keep with the 11 tradition, the most well-known of 12 is Alcoholics Anonymous, but there are others.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I am still in therapy once a week with a psychiatrist, and I rely on my support group, my wife, my brothers, my family. I have a very good support group, which is especially important during the pandemic, right? Because there's a lot of isolation. And so I rely on that. I still deal with depression. I take antidepressants. I find no stigma in that at all. And so that is what I do. 12-step was in therapy were my main pathways to recovery.
That time, especially to keep up with that and keep up with that camaraderie of those that are in recovery as well is so helpful, from what I hear from so many. And I want to talk about your books. We have caller Sean. Sean, thanks for calling in. Welcome to Moments of Clarity.
Brian, I just want to thank you for 12-stepping us.
Well, thank you, Sean. It's one of the we pay it forward, right? And every time we share and recover out loud is an opportunity to empower others to do the same, or have them to find some solidity in their journey. So I truly appreciate that. When you tell me that, it helps my recovery.
Yay! Yeah, thank you so much for calling in.
Sure. I can totally relate to the insanity and the throes of addiction. The decisions we make, or the responsibilities we let go to the wayside. And I can relate to so much of what you said. And you truly are an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many others.
You were too kind, Sean. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I agree with what Sean said. And thank you for calling in. Time to kind of like wrap up the show. So I'm going to let you go. But thanks for calling in Moments of Clarity. And you take care of yourself, okay? Anyway, so let's get to your books because we're kind of getting to the, final
Absolutely. Yes. I'm an author, and I would have never been able to do that if not for recovery.
Or inspired to, I guess, pretty much, right? So you got the Shattered Image, right? And that's the first book that you wrote.
That was my first book about eating disorders and body image.
Which everything's available on Amazon. The Addicted Lawyer.
The Addicted Lawyer is my most recent memoir. And that the Tales of the Bars, Booze, Blow, and Redemption. That is where you'll see the stories about trading the Mavs tickets and all of that. Yes. That made bestseller list on Amazon, bestseller status.
I can believe it. I mean, your story, just hearing about it. And then this Ambulance Chaser is on Amazon.
Yay. Yes, that is my new book coming out, The Ambulance Chaser, my first venture into fiction. It is about a personal injury lawyer who is accused of the rape and murder of a high school classmate 30 years prior. And he becomes a fugitive from justice to find the one person who can both prove his innocence and save the life of his abducted son. There's the guy's name is Jason, and there's a lot of me in Jason. He struggles with drugs and alcohol. He's a lapsed 12-stepper trying to find his way. And so I hope you all check that out and pre-order it. That is my new book. That is the one. That is my baby, and it's coming out, and it's going to be released soon.
In December, right?
December, yes. But you can pre-order it now, and I love pre-orders because they count towards bestseller list status.
Oh, okay. Well, awesome. And we were saying there was a surprise for those that maybe pre-ordered.
Yeah, if you for the 14th and 15th people who pre-order The Ambulance Chaser, you can have a signed copy of The Addicted Lawyer.
Hey, so you just have to pre-order and send a screenshot, or if you can follow Brian on Twitter, post a screenshot of the pre-order, and the 14th and 15th one hashtag Moments of Clarity with Tiffany or whatever.
Yeah,
that they know that.
And who knows? Maybe I'll even back it down to the 12th and 13th. But you got to pre-order, right? And you can also find me on LinkedIn if you want to send the screen cap there. You can find me on Facebook if you want to send it there. So
keep them all. Like, let's try to keep them all at the same.
Okay. Wherever. Twitter's great. Twitter's great.
Not everybody has Twitter though, so you're
that's right. That's right.
But you're not on Facebook.
I am on Facebook. I'm as accessible as there is.
I couldn't find you on Facebook.
Yes.
I think so. Okay. So anyway, I'll find you. So hashtag Moments of Clarity pre-order, whatever. Screenshot a copy of the receipt.
Yeah. And be sure to black out your address.
Yeah, black out your address and credit card info.
But who knows? It could be everyone who does it. I could be very generous with my memoir.
An autographed copy too.
An autographed copy.
So it's amazing, and I know I'm going to do that. So be looking for a screenshot for that, and that's very generous of you too. Because if you've liked any pieces of what Brian's saying today, right now, I mean, there's more in.
It has a good testimonial right on the front from my brother Mark.
What does the testimony say?
It says, resilience is a trait very important both in business and addiction recovery. I have never seen anyone more resilient than Brian. His journey is one that should be shared and read and notes taken. Mark Cuban, entrepreneur and owner of Dallas Mavericks. Of course, he's biased.
Did you present your book on Shark Tank and no. That's it, billionaire. One of an idea. Just kidding. But if he's biased, you know.
But I'm very happy to be in recovery. None of this could have happened without it.
See, we all go through our journeys in life. It's how we handle our situation that defines our character. And so you've come through a lot.
And it takes everyone. Recovery is often steps forward and many steps backwards. But guess what? There is only one requirement to recovery, just one, Tiffany, and one only: be above ground. That's it. As long as you're above ground, you can recover.
Mm-hmm. And foundation, rock bottom is the foundation. We can rebuild our lives. So.
I encourage anyone to try to rebuild it before you reach that point, right?
Right. I mean,
try to rebuild it at the highest possible point.
It's easier to have everything fall apart than it is to build it back together again.
Absolutely. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Point.
Oh yes. I've lived that many times over.
Any takeaways that you'd like to close out with, because we're hitting to like the last.
Yes. If you are struggling, there are people who want to help you, even if you feel totally alone. Find the people who love you. Who is your compassionate community? Reach out to them. I'll tell you what, reach out to me. If you need resources, I'll help you find them. I can be your compassionate community. Just reach out to someone, because you are enough. Remember that. You are enough.
I love that you said that. And you're not alone. You
are not alone.
A lot of times people to like that point and guilt has them suffer in silence, like that they don't help, or that they're embarrassed. And like you said, I think if you said on the show that you went to your psychologist, I said, I'm a lawyer in the lab, and he said, you're not a lawyer, you're an addict.
That's right.
Lawyers don't go to rehab, but no, a lot of professionals end up in rehab.
Yeah, you're right. And I was resistant to residential treatment. I was resistant to 12-step, but I did go into 12-step. And it's funny, I walked in there and half the people in the room were lawyers I knew.
Probably, you never know. It's going to wrap up. Brian Cuban, thank you so much. I strongly encourage all my listeners, you guys, to pre-order the book and get a signed copy of The Ambulance Chase, or pre-order The Ambulance Chaser and get a signed copy of The Addicted Lawyer, straight from the source. And how generous of you, Brian. And thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing. It's a wonderful story, and how beautiful to hear transparency like that, and that you've overcome and are living happy now. And we'll be back tomorrow. We're live every Thursday and Friday, Moments of Clarity, from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's almost like recovery week, because our guest tomorrow is another survivor of addiction and recovery, and a keynote speaker as well. So tune in tomorrow, 12 to 1. It's going to be another great show. And everyone, be kind to yourself and a stranger. You never know what they're going through. And take care.
Moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now. Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, you're so alive. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity.